Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. This is the weekend edition. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. This is the point where I stop talking for the next hour because joining me, we have, you can't see him right now, but we have Charlie Cook, host of Riding Shotgun with Charlie and Charlie's Gungrams. And we have Beth Alcazar of USCCA. And we have, over here, we have Tony Simon of DiversityShoot.com. It's gonna be one of those days. It's gonna be an hour of looking back at the week's news, and I think we're gonna have a little bit of fun today. I want to remind you as we get going, as I get social media here hooked up, that you can comment on either the Facebook or YouTube videos, and usually the comments get pulled in rather quickly. Sometimes we have a bit of issue with that. If you have a Twitter account, and hopefully Twitter gets turned around fairly soon, but if you have a Twitter account, you can tweet with the hashtag Bullet Podcast. Those get through very quickly, and I'll get your comments on the air, and we'll talk about them. To get started, guys, let's see here. What do I got first up in show notes? I think the first thing we should talk about is Biden was out on the lawn of the White House. He had every one of his voters throughout the nation was on the White House lawn, and he wanted to push for. He wants to make all ghost guns illegal in the United States. This really, this is a problem. This is a solution in search of a problem. I don't think there's a huge issue with people making homemade guns, despite what the news is saying. I think this is a manufactured problem. I don't see a whole lot of this going on. What do you guys think?
I think it's a homemade factured problem. I have not wanted one of these more now that they're making it illegal and don't want people to have them. I want one more. I want two more. Or maybe, okay. So 4 might be my limit.
Yeah. Well, my issue with I'm going to have to buy 4 or 5 so that I get one, because let's just say the first one's not going to work out very well.
I don't think y'all taking this seriously. It's a serious problem. It's a pandemic. Wait a minute, what? Those guns, it's wrong. I'm just saying.
Now wait, Tony, is this guy going to be your alter ego now? Is he going to speak against you? Are you going to have arguments now with this little guy?
There's nothing wrong with arguing with yourself as long as you use 2 voices.
Okay, that's the key. That's the key. I was hoping he was going to enhance your personality, not like, somehow be, I don't know, against you.
He's going to be the largest pound-for-pound anti-gun bunny.
There you go. I'm going for that Bloomberg money. I want that Bloomberg's money.
We're 4 minutes in, and this is happening, y'all. Y'all are here.
What's happening,
right show.
The 2 guys that are maybe enjoying this the most are the 2 guys that can't even have one of these guns.
Exactly. Can't have it, not leave me in Jersey. And it's just them going after something else, man. Beware of any new gun law. Answer's always no. You should do 3 things. You hear a new gun law, immediately think no. Second thing you do, think no again, then read the law, and then it's definitely no. It's never what they say it is. They always use something else. See, too many people live in free states and don't know how the antis think. So you have to look at what they do in states like New Jersey, New York, California. When they name it one thing, And then when you read it, it's a whole bunch of other things shoved under that. And that's where it comes in. It's not just ghost guns. It's upper receivers, lower receivers. It's putting parts on things. It's telling FFLs they have to come up with part numbers. And it's back asswards anyway. Because, okay, my serial number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So is Charlie, so is Beth, so is Paul. So how does that help anyone? Like it's ridiculous. Crimes aren't solved with serial numbers anyway. They just caught the guy who shot up the train because he left his gun, his wallet, and his credit cards. Guess what really didn't help him? The gun. So they were able to track because of his driver's license with his address on it. The firearm is not something they looked up. They finally found out he bought it a decade ago legally in Ohio, but that didn't help them solve that.
Wait a minute. In Ohio, isn't that where Charlie Chambers does classes, or where Charlie Cook does classes?
No, Charlie Cook only does classes in Utah. So
that's right.
Utah, go to Charlie Cook.
I gotta catch up to speed, man. I'm sorry.
It's the states that begin with vowels that really throw people off.
They just lump them all together. It's one conglomerate.
It's all the same. I got a friend that says, "You're from Indiana, right?" I'm like, "Illinois." He's like, "Yeah, Iowa, whatever." Thanks, man. Some ice state in the middle of nowhere. It's flat for, I don't know, 932 miles.
Idaho. Yeah, Idaho.
It's the same.
That's it.
Idaho. States like Idaho.
Right. What gets me about that story is that the guy. This is what I love. I can't remember if it was the chief police commissioner of New York or if it was the mayor of New York, but after the guy called and said, "Hey, I'm at this McDonald's," they went there. They didn't find him there because he left. Then they say, "Hey, we got him. It's good police work." Calling in and telling the police where you're at is good police work? How? Help me figure this out. The guy calls you and tells you where he's at. You go get him, and then you say, "Yeah, we got him." If he didn't make that call, what would you guys be doing?
Still looking.
Right.
Because the cameras didn't work.
It's not coming in on my software, but I can see it on Facebook. But I want to get this comment in. Tom Walls, who's one of our Friday commentators on the weekday edition of the Bullet, says, "I can't help but wonder, when using the undefined term ghost gun, do politicians include guns with the original serial number altered or defaced?" I'm telling you, Tom, they absolutely do in California. The definition in California, if they take a Dremel or a piece of sandpaper and they deface the serial number, that is, by definition, in California, a ghost gun. It absolutely is. And that's how they're getting the numbers they get in California.
Yeah, I mean, obviously... right, and it's not just by the ATF, right?
AFT, yeah.
AFT, well, whatever it takes.
Get it right.
ATF, whatever it takes.
Yes.
Oh,
well, and I always have to say my piece. I've got to say my piece with the ghost guns. I mean, again, being the resident word nerd, who gets to define all this stuff and where does it end? I mean, it's pretty much let's lump everything into the same category. So even gun parts, anything is going to be now the ghost gun, and that's the real scary part, because they can continue to expand that to include whatever it is that they want to. So if something else comes up that someone doesn't like and they're anti-gun, let's lump that into the ghost gun too, because it's such a hard to define area anyway. Why not just let it be a catch-all? That's the scary part.
Look, it's like a full semi-automatic term,
Yeah. Yes,
So
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's the shoulder thing that goes up. Oh my God, Carolyn McCarthy! Holy moly, man! That's one of the oldest ones, right? That's been around for 15 years. What is this? I think we should ban. What did he call it? Oh my God, a barrel shroud.
30-round clip.
What's a barrel shroud?
Oh, a barrel shroud. Yeah.
A barrel shroud, yeah. Well, the barrel shroud. And I think it was Tucker Carlson asked, the rep there, what's your legislation says barrel shroud? And he's like, what's a barrel shroud? She's like, I think we need to go after the high capacity magazine clips. He's like, I get you with the high cap magazines. What's a barrel shroud? Was that the best law? No, that wasn't the best law, but it's the bill that we could pass. He's like, look, what's a barrel shroud? And she's like, the shoulder thing that goes up. What?
Yes.
I've told people this in class. I'm like, in my Utah classes when I teach them in Idaho, I was telling some people the barrel shroud is really, if you really think about it, it's a safety device so that you don't touch a hot barrel. She does not want a safety device on your rifle.
They're not about gun safety, not at all. They're not at all about gun safety.
It's ridiculous. I'm now that I'm learning how to write and writing for Armed Lifestyle magazine, I'm trying to be more articulate. Like I'm never going to be like Beth, but I'm trying to be articulate. And so when people say ghost guns, I'm like, a homemade firearm. We're calling them homemade firearms. After Paul and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, now when I hear people say constitutional carry, in my mind, I bite my tongue and I say they really mean permitless carry. And maybe we should do the same thing we did with clips and say, when my friends that are gun enthusiasts, they like to shoot, they have a gun, they're not as into it as we are, and they call them clip. Like, dude, we need to be unified in this. It's a magazine. Let's call it what it is.
Well, Charlie, that is like definitely on my side of things. I love that. I love that you're saying that. In fact, a couple years ago, some of the folks from Concealed Carry Magazine had an opportunity to speak at a conference for editors in the United States. And we were so pumped up because we were getting into right before the election and we were going to have a chance to maybe influence some of the media and make sure that the language was actually real and true and not all this made up super fluff stuff or pop psychobabble kind of junk. The problem was COVID hit and they canceled the whole event. So we missed out on a pretty cool opportunity to be able to sit in front of all these editors of, mainstream media type of magazines and newspapers and blogs and who knows what else. And unfortunately, that didn't come to fruition. But if we can't influence in our own community, that's where we're going to have a big loss. We might not be able to touch everybody who already is anti-gun or who's already falling for that kind of jargon and vernacular. But like you said, Charlie, if we can take ownership of it and the way that we write, the way that we speak, the way that we converse, the way that we teach in every single venue that we have an opportunity to do so as the gun community, hopefully we're going to help push truer terms that aren't just the made up stuff that give guns basically a bad name wherever they can, just like the whole gun violence or, assault rifles, those kinds of things. Let's continue to own that vocabulary so we can make a difference.
And let's not pass
absolutely.
up the fact that Beth is amazing. Beth is a great writer. And congratulations, Charlie, for getting the writing gig. All my friends are freaking awesome. What can I say? So congratulations, Charlie. Maybe one day you'll be Beth, but I doubt.
I know, one day.
John Petrolino said I should write a book about what I know about guns, and I'm like, it's probably more like a pamphlet.
Or in my case, a business card,
Right. It's really just a handout.
Y'all,
that's all it is.
Don't sell yourself short. Come on now.
Yeah, Beth has seen my writing, and she told me I should go and break my hands.
Stop it. That is not true. That is not true.
It's right.
That is over-exaggeration.
She said stop using crayons and use a pen.
Oh.
She says, start a puppet show. Start a puppet show and communicate that way. You suck at writing. You suck at writing.
Don't write with crayons. Eat them.
I have never said anything of the sort to anybody on this program or anybody else that I can think of. So that is not my style. I told Tony that I was very excited to use my editing skills. That's all I said.
You should use smoke signals. That's how you should write. Smoke signals.
Look, you want to talk to more people than Elizabeth Warren, okay? She needs to start talking to, but you're gonna talk to more than her.
This is off the rails. Off the rails.
Right. So either this will be good for good for ratings or bad for ratings. It's
yeah.
I love it. This is great. Keep it up.
Let's.
These guys are only entertaining themselves.
I want to make an attempt to get back on track here a little bit. I do want to. The SAF did put out a press release on Thursday, and I want to read this if I could. My boss Alan Gottlieb put this out. Now I want to read this press release real quick. The Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms said today a new Rasmussen survey reinforces what they've been saying for years. More gun control laws are not the answer to preventing shootings like Tuesday's New York subway attack. According to Rasmussen, 51% of likely voters doubt the effectiveness of stricter gun control laws, adding that, quote, majorities of every political category, 67% of Republicans, 52% of Democrats, and 59% of unaffiliated voters say it's not possible to completely prevent mass shootings. It is significant that Rasmussen pollsters also learned that 59% think it is not possible to prevent the kinds of shooting incidents like what happened in Brooklyn, said CCR KBA Chairman Alan Gottlieb. This is why we have always supported expanded concealed carry by law-abiding private citizens. If history has taught us anything, it's that violent crime does not happen on a prearranged schedule, and criminals or madmen do not call ahead to warn their victims. Federal authorities have charged the suspect with one count of committing a terrorist or other violent attack against a mass transportation system. Prosecutors asked that he be permanently detained while awaiting trial, and more charges are expected. Rasmussen revealed that Democrats, 65%, are far more likely than Republicans, 23%, or independents, 38%, to believe the U.S. needs stricter gun laws. Likewise, Democrats, 61%, think stricter gun laws would help prevent mass shootings, while only 18% of Republicans and 32% of independents share that view. Clearly, Gottlieb observed, the majority of Americans don't think adding restrictions on the rights of honest citizens is going to make a difference to people who are determined to commit mayhem. That is never in the case, and never will be, regardless of what kind of extremist solutions are proposed by the gun prohibition crowd. What happened in Brooklyn's subway was unconscionable, he added, and if the suspect is found guilty, he should face the harshest punishment. But as the Rasmussen survey shows, most Americans don't think it should result in stricter gun control laws that penalize honest gun owners for a crime they clearly did not commit. Folks, if this guy faces New York justice, he'll be out Friday by lunchtime.
I think I just real quick, Tony. I think he was already found brought up on terrorist charges like 8 or 10 years ago. They didn't take.
I know he's been in jail several times.
I actually hosted a university shoot for the first time, almost immediately post a mass shooting, and 4 of the ladies actually came from the city, New York, to our event. And they were much like us, totally upset about this thing, because the fact that he was already on the FBI's radar, he was known. They know New York has the strictest gun laws in the country, or some of the strictest gun laws. Everything he did was illegal, and nothing. The police stopped nothing. There were no cameras, or the cameras didn't work. And all the police that chased you down for jumping turnstiles, it seems none of them noticed him. So it was just a failure on so many levels that people aren't buying into. It could have been prevented by another gun law. And they're having a hard time with that. And according to this study, it really depends on the echo chamber you live in. If you live in an echo chamber that continually tells you that we need more gun laws, then yeah, look at the percentages. You're going to hear it all the time, and you're going to start believing it. And then on the other side, if you hear we don't need new gun laws and how ineffective they are in stories like this, because this is what your friends believe, this is what your friends say, and this is what's on your social media, then yeah, when someone asks you, you're like, yeah, no, new gun laws aren't helping. And it just shows it with that poll. So, no, new gun laws aren't going to help. Strictest gun laws in the country did not stop it. The largest police force in the country did not stop it. And they had to get directions to find out where the guy is, and they still showed up and missed him. It was citizens calling it in, sending them video of this is a guy walking down the street. This was a dude who left his wallet and the gun, and it still took them 24 hours to find him. Just saying.
Well, when it comes down to it, too, with situations or circumstances such as this one, everybody wants to jump immediately to the gun is the problem. We got to restrict guns. We got to restrict people from having guns. But ask yourself this: what if he had committed the same atrocities with any other tool? I don't care. He used a beer can. Where does the process go from there? What do people say? Oh, we got to, ban the beer cans. We got to look at beer can violence. No, they start looking at the criminal. They start looking at all the failures that you had mentioned, Tony. They start actually looking at the responsibility of the person who committed these crimes. It's amazing, though, that any time something like this occurs with someone with a firearm in their hand, the conversations immediately go to the gun, to the tool. And that's the worst of it. Every time, and I bring this up in my classes, especially when we're teaching things like countering the mass shooter threat. What if it had been a different tool? What would the media, the conversations, and the solutions look like right now if it were the same exact type of situation, but something completely different in his hands?
A few years ago for my birthday, speaking of tools, a few years ago for my birthday, my son didn't know what to get me. He said he was at the local WM with one of his buddies trying to find something for my birthday. And he came back and he bought me, are you ready for this? A machete for my birthday because it was $8 at Walmart and he could buy it. So if we had machete violence, I'm ready to go. But baseball club, or baseball bat, or hammer violence. I mean, we've all seen the stats where more people are killed with hammers than they are with ARs. So these are some great points you're making, Beth. What I want to bring up about this is that this seems, if he had these arrests. If he's done time in jail, if he was tried for terrorism before, the government didn't have all this when they did the background check on him 10 or 15 years ago when he bought the gun in Ohio. And if they did, if it's happened since then they did not do a good job of taking his right to have a firearm away if it happened less than then. So to me, it's just yet another government fail. Go ahead, Bathtub Tony.
Baseball club, football bat, no matter what kind of sporting equipment you use, you can hurt somebody with it.
Oh my gosh.
In baseball, you hit a bat and you steal bases. Nothing can be more violent than hitting and stealing.
Oh my gosh.
And if you do it, you won.
We've lost Paul. Paul, I can't hear you.
I don't know. Paul was talking when Tony was talking. We can't hear him.
You're mute.
No,
there you are.
I just unmuted myself. I want to interject here quick. California has the famous waiting period. In order for this waiting period to have worked in this case, it would have had to have been a 10-plus year waiting period, which is ridiculous in the extreme. And nationwide, from the time a gun is purchased to the time it is used at a crime scene, the average is 10 years. So we can use this as another instance in the case of waiting periods are just delaying rights, and a right delayed is a right denied. So they just don't work.
Amen.
They use the emotions of someone killed within that waiting period time, domestic violence, something like that. They will use that to delay your rights as a whole, talking about, if this had been delayed for a week, And it's like, you mean this one circumstance? Because when we know it's 10 years, it's like you use this one tragedy to, again, for your safety, take away your rights. They continually do this. And the American people, we as firearms owners have to get better at communicating with people outside of our gun circle about how this is all a lie and it doesn't help. And it should really be easy for us because pretty much almost a high percentage of the mass shootings we've already had in this country, these people have already had contact with the police many, many times. Mm-hmm. They have a record. They have authorities know about them. And we can go back and just pick randoms and go, yeah, FBI knew about them. Homeland Security knew about them. The police departments knew about them. And it's over and over and over again. But the first thing those authorities in those places scream is we got to get rid of the guns because they want to take the blame off themselves immediately. Sure. And of course, since it's political, everybody else on that side crows the same thing and the media joins in on it. And it seems it's forgotten that the reason it happens is because the government didn't stop the first mass shooting, didn't stop this mass shooting, and it will not stop the next mass shooting. You are your own first responder. You are responsible for your safety and the safety of your family, and they can never get around that. Mm-hmm. So they bombard you with BS.
Amen. We need to do a pass the buck mark campaign.
Yes. I want to get this comment in from Facebook. It didn't show up in my software, so I'm just going to have to read it. John says, and this is going back to the language. When you control the language, you control thought. Police called their assault rifles patrol rifles.
Absolutely. I did the Citizens Police Academy a bunch of years ago in my town, and it's nothing like the movies, I'll tell you right now. It was just a bunch of lectures about 8 or 10 weeks long of at the police station of what it's like to be in a police station. And I was excited for gun night, but I withheld my excitement, and they brought out a patrol rifle. This was just a couple years after Sandy Hook. Their patrol rifle was a DPMS with a collapsible stock, a pistol grip, a flash hider, and a bayonet lug. 4 of the 5 evil features that would make it an assault weapon here in Massachusetts. They had 4 of them, and I held back, and I wanted to ask them and say, so you have a patrol rifle. If I put your patrol rifle in my car, it's now an assault weapon. What if I just want to patrol the neighborhoods and make sure everything's going fine and everything's cool? Then it becomes a patrol rifle for me, right? And I certainly knew better than to ask him this because, fast forward, 6 or 7 years, I sat down with this guy and I knew I'd eventually have an interaction with him, and I applied. He's the guy that approved my license to get a machine gun here in Massachusetts. So I'm glad I did not ask that question. So
let me ask this: in back then, did that back to that initial time you were in the class? Did that patrol rifle have a fun switch?
I don't think so. I don't think I got to look close enough to see if it had one.
Okay.
So yeah, it's taken the language back. I don't call them whenever. Look, every time I say ghost gun, I have to say ghost gun or assault weapon or high cap magazine. Like I use a funny voice to let people know this is bunk.
Yes,
this is a crock of cheese, as we like to say in our circle of friends.
When I and I don't do a lot of writing, but when I am even on social media, when I use the term ghost gun, I put it in quotes.
Quotes, yeah.
Because it's not a term I use.
Yeah. All right, we have other stories, don't we? 30 minutes into this, we got one story down.
Well, let's see here. Yeah, there is, and I want this one. I think when Beth was on Beth actually helped me on a midweek show this week, and I think we talked about this one when Beth was on. There's a new survey from the National Opinion Research Center of the University of Chicago. Believe it or not, good news came out of the University of Chicago. They took a survey of first-time gun owners, and a clear majority of first-time gun buyers, nearly 70%, believe concealed carry should be expanded. This majority also wants to shorten unconstitutional waiting periods to legally buy a gun, and also supports qualified teachers being able to conceal carry in order to protect their students. Usually you can pretty much depend on universities like, University of Chicago, the University of California, Berkeley. Anything that comes out of Tie-Dye U is going to lean hard left. But you can depend on left-leaning universities putting out left-leaning propaganda. This coming out of University of Chicago, this really surprised me.
Yeah.
Well, they accidentally called Rhonda Zell like 5,000 times. That's how they ended up with that study. She's like, why do they keep calling me? Yes, yes. But I think it's the fact that these new gun owners aren't buying into the BS anymore. And you have people like Miss Rhonda Zell. You have people like Maj Toure, Black Guns Matter. You have Kevin Dixon. You have,
Argo J.
Detroit. Detroit, Rick
Ector, oh my gosh. And he busts my cookies. Oh, wait till he sees this.
You have people that are living in those areas that are pushing it, firearms ownership with minorities, with women, with people that before just did not buy into the gun culture thing in 2020 and 2021. Woke a lot of people up to realize that no, the government will not protect you. They can't help you. You are on your own. And now, when they call about firearms ownership, they go, yeah, it should be easier for me to get a firearm if I pass the background check. It shouldn't be these ridiculous delays. You shouldn't have made up arbitrary rules like magazine capacity or evil features. All of those need to go. Sorry, but the horse is out the barn now. Millions and millions of people that weren't stereotypical firearms owners are now firearms owners, and they want to keep their tools, and they don't want any more regulations, and they understand that it didn't stop crime and it didn't help them when they needed it. You've lost gun control this time around. I mean, keep fighting it, keep doing whatever you do, executive orders, but what you're going to start to do is make that gun control political poison. You're going to start losing seats. You're going to start losing people, and you're going to start losing primaries. So, hey, keep it up. Bill Clinton warned them years ago when they passed the assault weapons ban and then lost both houses. They're not listening.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to bring this up. John over Sandhills Media with more fire. And by the way, welcome home out of jail, John. With more firearms than citizens in the U.S., why are guns not more mainstream? You got me, man.
Coming from occupied territory, there's a lot of people that are closet gun owners, and I know I've talked to people in New Jersey, and some of the people I've interviewed down there have talked about being a closet gun owner. I interviewed a woman that was, are you ready for this? Go down the checklist. She's a white, lesbian, Democrat gun owner. And she said it was easier for her to come out as a lesbian than it was for her to come out as a gun owner.
100% true in the state.
Can I go back to my and my voice is so bad we probably will not get a copyright on this, but I want to go back to my sixth grade my 6-year-old self and go, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things anyway.
Yeah, from Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the other. Can you tell me which one's not the same? Yeah, however the melody goes, I forget.
I remember, but I'm not about to sing it. But hey, along those lines, thinking about, things we were taught and things that stick in our head, something from this little study or survey or article, whatever you want to call it, that we didn't talk about the other day, Paul, that really is resonating now with me, is that people are saying they're supportive of teachers having firearms. I think that is like a huge thing that we need to call out because, maybe we've woken up that instead of protecting the money in the bank or the crap at the mall, we're actually going to allow these law-abiding citizens who are teaching our children and with our children most of the day to do something about it if they so choose and if they have the opportunity. I think that is phenomenal.
Absolutely. And if we've got, we got 25 minutes left. Beth, this happened a little while ago, but if you would, I want to take you actually, this is a really cool story I'd like you to go off on if you would. You had an opportunity a while back. There was a mom and daughter thing with your school, with her school, that you had an opportunity. I heard you on Amanda Suffolk's show here a while back. You want to go into that real quick?
Well, the backstory to this is that the middle school, which is only about 6 miles from our home, in 2013 actually experienced an armed gunman coming in and holding 5 of the girls hostage. He had worked at the school and they let him in and he took these girls and, what were you going to do? I mean, what was the circumstance? This was in the wake of Newtown, but still we had an armed resource officer. We didn't have armed teachers or armed staff in any way, shape, or form. But this resource officer was able to diffuse the situation within about 15 or 20 minutes because he was a good guy with a gun who stopped a bad guy with a gun. And, again, that's just reiterating why it's so important that law-abiding instructors and teachers and staff members should be able to continue to use their right to protect themselves and protect those that they love, no matter where they are, including schools. My youngest daughter's school, several years ago when my son was going there, they had opened up the doors to have career day, and they wanted different careers to come and share with the kids what they do for a living and, how exciting it is that they are doctors or lawyers or pastors or police officers or who knows, you name it, across the board. And unfortunately, when I applied to speak at that point in time, I was denied. They said, well, unfortunately, because of your connection with the firearms industry, we feel that might be an influence on the children and we can't have that. But this past couple months ago, I was actually able to go to the school and teach kids for about 30 minutes anyway, about what I do and about the importance of situational awareness and about safety. And, it was amazing and eye-opening that these children were so hungry for this information and they captured it and retained it and utilized it so quickly by, giving me really great examples. And it's like, why don't we do this across the board? Why aren't we allowing, enabling, and encouraging this kind of education within the classrooms? So not only the students are more prepared, but the teachers as well. And on top of that, if we allow those law-abiding citizens who want to be responsibly armed in schools to do so, I mean, think about what a better opportunity we have to stop these kinds of incidences or to perhaps save lives if these kids actually have, more than just the go hide in the corner kind of mentality that so many of our schools and teachers have been putting into their heads for decades now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now when the career day came up again, and my apologies, my brain only works at half speed since my stroke, so the recall wasn't coming in quite as fast as it should have. But this time, was it when you brought up at career day what you do? Was there a switch in? Well, the guns aren't so bad now, or was it more of a? Was it that you didn't bring up the guns in your career?
Oh, I brought them up. I don't know what switched. I don't know if I just flew under the radar this time. I don't know if there was something different in the protocol for allowing people to speak, but I was pretty bold about it this time around. Last time I was told I can't mention firearms. I was very specifically restricted. This time they said, yeah, that's exciting. You teach people about safety and about, responsibly armed ways of life. Yeah, come and tell our kids about it. Of course, flavored with the idea that I, am a writer and an editor, and that was kind of unique and interesting, but still being able to include that information and have it really work well with those kids. I mean, their eyes were just kind of like, whoa, that's cool. And when we can make connections with things that they already think about and they already know, and, you know, being safe around different objects within their home, it's just one other step, you know, it's one other tool. Just as much as we're going to stay away from the fireplace, or we're not going to just go messing around by the swimming pool, we're not going to take the tools and the, you know, electric drill or whatever is going on. Electric drills. That's funny. Anyway, we're also not going to play with firearms. And, you know, having that being said in a classroom, we need more of that.
Yes. I want to get to a couple comments here real quick. This one, I have to apologize to John here real quick. Can you maybe explain that I wasn't in actual jail? No, John wasn't in actual jail. It was prison, okay? It was Facebook prison. Yeah, he was in Facebook jail. Yeah. So anyway, welcome back to the land of the free. And so yeah. John.
But you know, the funny thing is, he's commenting on YouTube.
Yes. And he also wants a Sesame Street gungram. So.
Oh,
I already
there
wrote
you go.
that down. I wrote it down. I wrote it down. I've got some ideas. I wanted to talk to you guys about it, but I was going to talk offline because I don't want to talk and let people know about secret schmeecrets. You know, what was that saying about secrets before the show, Beth?
Secrets don't make friends.
There we go. That's it. So yeah, that would be cool. So my thing with teachers, and I've been a teacher for a long time. My thing with teachers is that when you hear folks that say that teachers, well, their teachers are going to shoot the kids because they didn't come in from recess and they get their homework done. That's crazy talk. You might be someone that's not smart enough to have a gun yourself, but your kids' lives are already in the teacher's hands. From when you drop them off until when you pick the kids up, or until they get on the bus, until they get off the bus, they're in someone else's hands already. Whether it's taking a bus and getting into an accident, or whether there's a fire at the school, or if you live in some place where there's tornadoes, your kids' lives are in your teacher's hands already. And if the teacher wants to carry, let them. And I know where I teach. There's less kids in my classroom than there are at the local grocery store or the local WM. So it's like the captive audience, of course, is having kids. But at Walmart, there's probably more kids at Walmart anytime I'm there than there are that are in my classroom that I'm working with. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, good point.
Let me say this. I think that a lot of the problem people have with and it's just certain people have with armed teachers is something called projection, and then it's the same problem we have with people they have with concealed carry. Period. They know they shouldn't be trusted with a gun because they think they might do something horrific. They have feelings they would do something horrific, like just so they think everybody else would too.
Well, I've had these conversations. I've actually had these conversations with people about the teacher, and this is again in Jersey where the gun culture is not as it is in other places. And I asked them, so you have a problem with the teacher carrying? Yeah, they're around, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so you have no problem with a plumber carrying? Or do you have a problem with a plumber carrying? You have a problem with the cable guy carrying? Do you have a problem? It's like, what other career shouldn't people be able to defend themselves while they're at work? Like, what are you basing these rules on? And when you actually have conversations with people, instead of yelling at them or trying to belittle them, just seriously ask them a question and try to have a real conversation and listen to what their real concerns are. And yeah, you might find out it is projection. And they think, oh, if I was in the room with all those annoying little kids, I would probably do something horrible. And it's like, well, that's a you problem. That's a you problem, not something your teachers are dealing with. I'm like, dude, just calm yourself and understand that your teachers got into the job. They know how to teach kids. They know how to handle kids without pulling a gun on them.
And I'm sorry, I've got to. Charlie Chambers, I can't, for some reason, Facebook is not letting the software grab the comments. Charlie Chambers over on Facebook says, Facebook jail changes a person.
I saw a guy that had
You gonna eat your cornbread?
I saw somebody with a thumbs up tattoo by their eye.
Oh wow!
Oh man, yeah. It's the whole thing with teachers. Your kids are in the teachers' lives already. So, and if the teacher carries outside of school, then let them carry in school. I don't want people projecting their feelings and thoughts and ideals onto me. I'm not going to push mine on someone else. So if there's a teacher, I'm sure there's plenty of them that don't want to carry in school. You don't make them. That's fine. I'm not going to make you do something you don't want to do, but don't make me do something I don't want to do because it makes you feel better.
Amen.
And I think that's America. That should be the whole argument across the board. I mean, it's not interfering or shoving your ideals or your beliefs or your ways on somebody else. It's having the freedom to choose for yourself what is going to work best for you, your family, your situation, et cetera, et cetera. So totally across the board, that's it. That's exactly what this is about.
Let freedom ring, man.
Yeah.
For our next story, I want to go a little bit out of order. I want to jump down to the last story in show notes. And West Virginia is joining a group of states that are fighting to reverse the bump stock ruling. And this is a story off of WDTV.com. And I want to use this as a springboard for saying the bump stock ruling is not set in stone yet. It's got to go through the court process. And I want to use this as a little bit of a plug for the company I work for. Well, not for the company, for the organization I work for the SAF. We are fighting on many, many, many levels, and we've got, at last count, there were more than 35 lawsuits in the works already actively filed 35 lawsuits throughout the nation in between federal and state lawsuits fighting to get your gun rights back. The tagline for the SAF is winning gun rights freedoms one lawsuit at a time. There are, in this particular case, I believe there are 22 state attorneys general that, and I'm bringing up this, 22 states attorney generals have joined this amicus brief to do away with this ruling that gets rid of bump stocks. I myself, I never have. I've fired firearms with bump stocks, ARs with bump stocks. Do I think they are the be-all? No, I have never owned one. Should they become legal again, I probably will own one in the future, but they're a gimmick. They're a way to turn ammo into smoke really quickly and empty your pocket of money really quickly. Are they effective as a tool? Not really. They're exceptionally inaccurate. So, but do I think you should have the ability to own one or several? Heck yes, I believe that. If you want to own 40 of the things, yep, even if you've got only one gun, I think you should be able to own as many as you want. So, go, Tony. You started to say something. I'm sorry.
Living in New Jersey, our Attorney General, I think his name was Dork. Our Attorney General was one of the ones that helped get rid of bump stocks. He was a clown. He's still a clown. And, yeah, bump stocks should have never gone anywhere. And many in the gun community disappointed me, really, because they were like, this isn't the hill I want to die on. I'm like, yeah, because you don't see what they're doing. This is just the first round over the bow. They will use this bump stock thing to get their camel's nose under a whole bunch of tents, and they did. And now we have FRT triggers and other things, only because they can change the meaning of words, and we allowed them to get away with it with bump stocks. We can never allow them to get away with anything. Everything they do, we must fight back on. Do not fall for the okie doke. They're not going to help, no matter how dumb the accessory is. Don't let them change it. Make them pass actual legislation and actually fight it and have to give them a voice. That's what we say. Don't let them do something with paperwork or administrative.
The thing with the bump stocks is, to me, yeah, sure, it's a novelty. Yes, you're gonna, like you said, Paul, you're gonna turn money into smoke really quickly. It's a novelty because we couldn't have machine guns since 1934. But when it's an accessory and they start to come after accessories, do we need to get rid of scopes when we have a sniper on the top of a building starts picking off people? How far is this going to go? It's the salami method. They're going to take this one, and they're going to we'll take a little slice here and a little slice there, and you don't need bump stocks, and then you don't have to have the high cap magazines, and you don't really need scopes unless you're hunting long distances, and you don't really need this, you don't really need that, and then you're talking yourself down from from an AR with a 30-round magazine to the Joe Biden special, a double-barrel shotgun, and then you hear your anti-gun friends and uneducated gun folks say, well, if you can't shoot them with one shot, you probably shouldn't own a gun. 3 guys break into my house. I got a shotgun that fires 1 round. What am I going to do then? What am I going to do? Bad
Excuse
guys
me,
have
guys,
friends.
could you please line up nice and straight for me?
Right. It's so ridiculous. What I noticed about this, as I was doing the research on this, out of the 22 states, there are only 3 states that are not permitless carry.
Oh,
yeah.
You got deep into your research there.
Well, I went to one of the sites I use for maps for reciprocity is Gun Nuttery.
Okay,
and they have a map of permitless carry, shall issue, may issue, and no issue permits from 1986. And honestly, they've done it 3 times this year. They've updated it in 2022 after we've had the states get the permitless carry.
Okay.
Speaking of radical gun nuts.
Teacher's pet. I looked into it. And I cross-referenced it with another website, and then I added 3 and divided by 4, and then multiplied by pi because I want to be the best.
Oh my gosh. Controversy.
I know, right? Okay, I got nothing, man.
It is true though. You guys are right on this bump stock thing. People basically on the anti-gun side saw something, a weakness, because there's not going to be a huge amount of gun owners that are like, oh, heck no, you're not going to take our bump stocks. Now, if you go on a rant about magazine capacity, you're going to have a lot of gun owners say, no way, you're not going to touch it. So they went after something that was kind of vulnerable. And like y'all have both kind of summed up, gun owners just went, that's not a big deal. I'm not so worried about it. But I hope people do worry about it. I hope they do pay attention, just for what you said, Tony, and for what this is kind of just kind of summarizing in my head. It's like the minute you give them this much, they take everything. And I taught middle school. It's the same way, right? Charlie, if you give middle schoolers this much, they're going to stomp all over you. So take it from us. Don't let them take this much.
If one kid has to go to the bathroom, all of a sudden it's a whole bathroom trip for everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's got to go. God, what was I just thinking? I was thinking something.
I want to get Tom's comment in here real quick. Not all shots are hits. Not all hits are stops. Not all stops are immediate. I like that. Yeah.
I mean, listen. Proving his point. 10 people were shot in the subway, and they've all lived. So this is. And he fired 33 rounds. He had what, 4 or 5 10-round magazines? Magazines restrictions didn't stop him.
The magazine restrictions of 10 rounds didn't stop him? I thought everyone had a chance to run if they only had 10 rounds.
Yeah, Joe Biden came out and said it takes about 2 minutes to reload a gun. Really? I've reloaded a gun with one.
No, Charlie.
To be honest, in his youth, when they were muzzle loaders, yes, it did take about 2 minutes for the untrained.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my
it's
God.
True.
It takes Joe
He's
Biden
recalling
2
that from
minutes.
his former life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
when he was teaching, when he was a full professor somewhere. No, wait, that's something else.
Nice. when he owned Corn Pop. When he owned Corn Pop, it took 2 minutes to reload.
Okay.
Oh, mercy.
All right.
I used my real voice for that. When he owned Corn Pop, I'm politically incorrect, Tony.
Politically incorrect, Tony.
I'm politically incorrect, Tony. And Joe Biden thinks black people are great. Everyone should own one. So, anyway. That was my character. That's why you use a different voice.
Oh my gosh. For anyone ever wondering what happens when you get these people together, you have now seen exactly what happens when these folks come together.
You get defunded on YouTube for the joke that's $59.
You get lots of fun.
Oh my God. I got restricted for this morning. I got restricted for something I put up in 2019.
Of course you did.
Yeah, of course. Really, 2019. You guys have to go dig. Like, who's got that much time to scroll through my pictures?
Yeah. How many employees does Facebook have? I mean,
too many.
Yeah.
Too many. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Don't they have something? Aren't there algorithms they should be working on?
They got mine from 2016 because I took a picture of a gun and said, compared. This is a lot of bang for the buck or something like that. It wasn't even a price given. It was a price range given. It's like compared to this for 1/3 of the price, you can get this. Oh,
yes, Tony. But we have to imagine in situations like this, what would politically incorrect Tony do? So you have to kind of have this mindset. We need the bracelet. We need it all.
Oh, my God.
All right.
I want that Bloomberg money. All guns is bad. Bad guns. Pull all the pictures down. What if a children's?
He would ban that photo too. He would totally make sure that you were in Facebook jail.
Oh, definitely with this. Oh no.
All right.
I did, no kidding, guys. I did an interview yesterday with somebody. It's going to be coming out in early May for this event that I'm speaking at. It's a Flag Day 2A rally here in central Massachusetts. And the interviewee, his name is Dave Kopaz. He's got a show called Red Pill Politics. He was saying that when they wanted to have this event, they wanted to do it at a gun range, at a sportsman's club, and there were a couple guys that pushed back on this because they were going to have extremists like Jan Morgan and Sheriff Joe Arpaio speak at this, and the NRA was a terrorist organization. So I said to him, I said, "Listen, do you remember who this person was?" And he says, "I do." I said, "No names, obviously." I said, "Was he a shotgunner? Did he like trap shoot?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." I'm like, my deal is this: the people that want to carry don't want to hunt. The people that want to hunt don't want to carry, and nobody knows what's going on with the shotgunners. And this is what this guy was.
All right. Well, look, we're coming up on top of the hour. We're coming up on the time we have. Although I have a feeling we could go for another hour and not have an issue. Let me get Charlie's comment up here real quick. Empty, reload, empty. Repeat until threat stops. Like that one.
There we go.
And also, Tom, this is the first one to comment. If the stop isn't immediate, he may kill you back.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's do the normal go around and Charlie, if you would. Let's start with you. Riding shotgun with Charlie. Charlie's Gungrams. Let everybody know where they can find you, what you're up to, man.
All right, you can check out all of the episodes of Riding Shotgun with Charlie on the YouTube channel, or you can go to ridingshotgunwithcharlie.com. I've got that going as well. The last show I had was Toby Leary from Cape Gun Works. The next show I have that's going to be coming out on the fourth Tuesday in April, is Mary Forges from the DC Project and from the Connecticut Citizens Defense League. I went down and visited her last week. And tonight I am going to be doing an interview on YouTube live video with Matt Mallory, and our guest is going to be Thomas Yoxel. So please tune in at 8 o'clock Eastern. That's what I have going on. And I did a video yesterday for Amoland as well. So please check all that stuff out. Thank you.
Mary Forges, that woman has an incredibly powerful story. I interviewed her on Polite Society a few weeks ago. An amazing story.
I've listened to her on a number of other people's shows, and she got to get into the weeds about everything. There was probably 17 minutes where I said nothing, and I just listened to her.
Yeah.
That's 17 minutes of me saying nothing. That is a long time.
That may be a personal record for you.
This is true.
All right. Beth, anything you want to plug? Anything going on with you?
Well, as always, people can find me with the USCCA, so that's usconcealcarry.com. I actually have the honor and privilege of going out to the A Girl and a Gun conference coming up. I'll be teaching some classes there, and that's exciting. And, of course, I'm popping around on social media now and then, so you can find me on Facebook with Pacifiers and Peacemakers with Beth Alcazar, or on Instagram, I'm Beth619. Hopefully have some good conversations, and I'll see you around.
All right, Tony, Diversity Shoot, what's going on with that and your podcast? Or anything else you want to plug, bud?
Oh, sure. Let me see. DiversityShoot.com is where you can find me. I'm going to be updating the website very shortly, because we've grown from doing 6 diversity shoots a year to doing 24 diversity shoots a year throughout New Jersey and in Pennsylvania, and we're looking for more states to do it in. And if you want to find me, you can find me at Simon Says Train on Instagram, Simon Says Train on Facebook, and also the Second is for Everyone on Facebook. Oh, and I'm also on Twitter as Second for Everyone, or just type in Tony Simon and look for my beautiful face if you want to purchase. This patch, I'm telling you, you want this patch? You got to go to Black Swan Media. Black Swan Media, this patch is limited, though. It's only limited. Only a few special people can get it. I love me some 2A, 4E. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. You can also find me on Self-Defense Gun Stories and Gun and Gear Review Podcast on Firearms Radio Net. So please come by, say hi.
Tony, I got to say, I absolutely believe that is the anti-gun Tony, because when you put that up really close to the camera, isn't the finger on the trigger on that patch?
This right here is my safety. Wait a minute. This is my safety right here. Right here, my safety.
I'm offended that we see anti-gun Tony's nipples.
That brings the ladies out. You don't know nothing about that.
I'm a sexual tyrannosaurus.
I'm sorry I started this. It's my fault. I encouraged it from the get-go, and we could have a whole show with just these little guys, I bet.
Oh, my God. That would be hysterical.
All right.
Charlie, mark that one down.
All right, I'm writing it down. I'm coming up with it. Let's make it happen.
All right.
I'm in.
And I don't have a darn thing with my face on it, so... On that note, folks, I think we're going to go and we're going to shut this one down. And I want to invite you to come join me Monday through Friday next week, 5 p.m. Central, assuming I still have a job. And we'll have the bullet. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you